Welcome to the Wealthy Money Property Podcast, your ultimate resource to unlocking your inner property guru and building a property investment portfolio. Now, introducing your host for the show.
Hey, property magicians, welcome to episode 114 of the Property Magicians podcast. If you've just joined us, my name is Vangile Makwakwa. I help women of color heal ancestral money trauma so they can fall in love with their bank accounts, increase income, and live their best lives. I'm also the co-founder of the Property Magicians Stockfile and the founder of Wealthy Money and the host of the show. With me is my incredible and brilliant co-host.
Hi, Devan. I am Dr. Miranda, Prop Doc Mom. I am Prop Doc Mom on Facebook and Dr. Miranda _ Prop Doc Mom on Instagram. I am a property investor, doctor, and mom, and I'm a property mentor for beginner property investors. So this is the love of my life. The podcast is my hobby and my job. Love
Isn't
this place.
it just though?
It's
just so awesome.
It is. It's the easiest thing to do for me in my life. I swear to God. It's like I've never loved anything like this podcast. So today, guys, we have got an incredible guest. Really love his story. And he shares about his stupidity of youth. That's what he called it. And that's how he started in property. And just an incredible story that you are going to learn from. And I just love how he tells the truth of it's a normal investing story. Honestly, people who invest in shares will tell you their story of loss and major gains and loss again and major gains and the little faults that you do in between in your investment journey. So you are in for a good ride. A property developer and a property manager, Matimba of Matimba Properties. Incredible podcast.
Really, really incredible podcast. But before we jump into that podcast, we just want to remind you guys that we are sponsored by the Property Magician Stockfile. As you all know, we used to be called the Wealthy One Stockfile, but the previous episode, we've explained our name change. You can find us on Stockfella. So if you go on the Stockfella app, go download the Stockfella app on Google Play, Huawei, on Huawei, it's Petal Search, and on iStore. And you can look for Property Magician Stockfile. If you are based in Swaziland, Lesotho, Namibia, and South Africa, then you can use the Stockfile. Then you can use the Stockfile app to join the Stockfile. Otherwise, if you're not based in any of these countries, you can go to wealthy-money.com/Stockfile. Again, wealthy-money.com/Stockfile. Stockfile is spelled Stockvel, and you can learn how to join the Stockfile if you're in other countries. We have investors from all over the world. We've already raised up to 2.6 million, over 2.6 million Rand, which is just, I guess, close to $200,000 since we launched in August 2021, and we're recording this in March 2022. So it's been an incredible journey. We'd love you to be part of this journey and start investing in property. So without further ado, let's introduce you guys to Matimba. So welcome to the show, Matimba. It's so good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so can you please tell us about yourself? Who are you as a soul? How do you define yourself as a soul, and what do you do?
Well, I'm a Soweto-born entrepreneur / father / husband / journey of discovery / spiritual enlightenment person. I really started off growing up in my father's business. My parents were both business people in their own right, but my father was a demolisher. So he used to break down buildings.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
For as long as I can remember, I've been working for my father. I started working there, I think, from the moment we could crawl. It was, my father believed in ensuring that every person in his household is able to start working from an early age. So I started off sweeping the floors, accompanying him to meetings and so on and so forth. And in 1984, my father opened what I believe would have been the first furniture manufacturing company in South Africa for a black person.
Yeah.
Wow.
Where was this?
It was in number 66 Pim Street, just next to the Market Theatre. As you are going to
I see
Street,
that.
Yes.
Interesting.
Number 66 Pim Street. Well, that was the second location, because his first location was in an old Afrikaner neighborhood, and they chased him out because, it was still during apartheid,
Yeah.
Yes.
So in that yard, he used to sell second-hand building material that he got from demolishing old buildings.
Right.
So the whole recycling thing, repurposing of office furniture and buildings and windows and doors and bricks and all that was not in fashion then. But he
did it.
He then saw a gap, because he was getting timber, from old houses, beautiful timber called Oregon pine.
Yeah.
He was surprised. All the time he would have that timber. An Afrikaner guy would come and buy the timber from him. And one day he asked one of his employees, what is this guy doing with this timber? And the guy said to him, look, we make furniture out of it. And that's how he opened what was called Rishile Oregon Pine in 1984.
He was ahead of his time. 84 was burning.
Right?
That is amazing.
Pretty incredible.
But Matimba, so it makes sense. Okay, demolition and then real estate. What got you into real estate? Did you start by buying a roof over your head, or how did you even get into real estate? How do you end up on our podcast? It's a real estate podcast.
So it's always been my dream. I mean, I would go to with my father on weekends and public holidays and school holidays, and you would see him bringing down these beautiful houses, because he would demolish 6-7 of them, because developers wanted to build townhouses, or office parks in these beautiful big suburbs, northern suburbs of Johannesburg and Gauteng.
Yeah.
And every Saturday, my father would buy the Saturday Star. And back in the days, the Saturday Star would have
property
sections.
Yes.
And I said, one day I'd like to own one of those.
Yeah.
And then when I went to university, I came up with an idea. I said to my father, you need to build yourselves rooms for your pension, because you have a pension fund. And I don't know if I had read it somewhere or what, but I can't remember how it came to me. But I think it must have been a passage I'd read from Robert Kiyosaki's book or somewhere. That's landlords make money in their sleep,
I know.
Yeah.
So my father didn't listen to me. He was stuck in his ways. He said no, he's a demolisher, and he loved it so much that he said no, that's all he wanted to do. And I promised myself that when I
Wow.
start working, when I have an income, I would go into property,
Okay.
and in particular, I would build township rooms.
Okay.
And
Wow.
so fast forward
Yeah.
2009. I get a good job. I've now finished my varsity, and I'm starting to work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I bought my first property, which was a roof under my head.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in 2010, I bought my
Mm-hmm.
second property. I got a lump sum somewhere, and I decided no, I want to use that money to buy I bought my first flat. I
Okay.
bought it through an auction.
Okay.
Wow.
Very brave.
I bought it
Yes,
through an
for a
auction.
first property and on auction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was lucky. I bought it through an auction. The flat was dilapidated. It hadn't been occupied for a long time. I bought it through an auction. I renovated the flat. I petitioned the flat, and I had tenants staying in the flat.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and basically that was the beginning of my journey. 2011, 2012. I had an idea because I was attending my postgrad, and I was in Harankua one day, and I thought to myself, Harankua sounds like a nice township to
Mm, mm,
establish yourself, because the university is really migrating. It was
yeah.
during the time where they had what they call institutional migration or institutional integration, where they were trying to uplift former Black universities.
Mm,
Yes.
So again there, I just woke up one morning, Saturday. I said, no, let me drive around the township. Let me see
right.
what I can get in this township. And I drove around, and lo and behold, there was a guy selling a 780 square meter four-room house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And I didn't have any money, and then I went through my credit card, bought that property using my credit card.
Wow.
Uh,
You
and
do all the things that are the don'ts, yet he does them.
yeah,
All right. That's
uh,
interesting. Yeah.
my
Yeah.
I did a quick calculation, and I thought to myself, if I were to buy this house, with the yard that it has, and build about 14 rooms, I'll be able to make twice as much. I'll be able to pay off my bond and my
And
my
the
credit
flag.
card quickly.
Oh,
That
okay.
is
Wow,
awesome.
little did I
So
know that I was putting myself in trouble.
tell us more
Of
about
course.
that. We love these
Credit
kinds of
card.
stories.
So
I mean,
you buy with a credit card. How did you think you were going to build these rooms? That should be interesting.
well, I didn't think that at that point. I thought that I would, coming from a family that's risk averse. My father
Yeah.
is very averse.
Mm.
My brothers are all in business. I thought to myself, one way or the other, I'm going to make it.
Mm-mm.
As
Yeah.
long, and I was working for government, so there was no way I was going to get fired from my job. And I was earning quite a good salary at that point.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, look, whatever happens, this property will be in my name, and I'll survive. And to tell you the truth, it's been almost 10 years now since I had that property.
And
And I'm grateful I did buy it. I've paid off the credit card. I no longer owe anything on it. I've
yeah.
bought,
Yeah.
I've built the amount of cottages that I wanted to build on it.
Yeah.
And,
Wow. Congratulations.
and I'm still receiving the passive income from the property.
Okay. All right.
Nice. Okay, so tell us about that journey, because usually there's often a story with the first development and the property that all our guests tell us. So you said something interesting. You said, little did I know I was putting myself in trouble. What were you referencing there? What was that in reference to?
So the first year and a half, 2 years, really nothing happened on that property.
Wow.
Nothing happened. It was just sitting there.
But you had the credit card debt.
I had the credit card debt. I was paying it off, and I got two of my friends to partner up with me to help me build the property. Build a few rooms. We got together. The relationship didn't go well. I lost a friend, plus I lost a business partner. And I learned my lesson then. I was banned very badly. I got banned very badly.
Yeah.
I then decided that I'm going to wait it out. And lucky for me, I had family members who really could come to the party. And my aunt and my brother, who were almost in the same business as my father, were able to supply me with second-hand building material from the beginning to the end.
Wow.
And I could pay them off little by little. So I had saved on one of the biggest cost drivers, which was building material.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
And I built all my properties using second-hand building material as much as I can.
Wow. I actually have a friend in Cape Town that does the exact same. And she was telling me that she flips houses. And she said, this is how she does. This is how she's able to make a lot of money on flips, is that she uses secondhand building materials. I didn't think much of it because she told me this about 2-3 years ago. But Mizo, that's an angle for a podcast interview to really explore.
But let me tell you something else that you are doing here, Vangile, though. Did you not furnish your mom's house on that street that is full of antiques? That is so weird. We keep flipping back to the flipping. Go on, Matimba. She does this thing. She does this thing of. It's such an emotional journey for me because I listen to her all the time do that, and you need to know how to pick things in a street like that. It's like secondhand shopping of building material. It requires a certain level of patience that I necessarily don't have, and that is
love it.
Yeah, I mean, it blows my mind. So you had your financial plan actually did work out, but did you know that you were doing development at the time, Matimba? Did you have any fears?